Brad had another one. Are you using maintenance techs for inspections or a separate inspector?
Yeah, so we actually have a separate inspector. We have basic home inspectors that are doing inspections of properties. We'll probably talk about this later, but we want our technicians doing billable work. We want them focused on billable time. And if we have them doing inspections, obviously that's not billable. So we call them property management technicians that are inspecting properties. Deb, I'd love to hear what you see out there or what you used to do.
I think it's a mix. It's interesting because I've seen both. And what we did, we had somebody who was a field agent that just did inspections. But I think to Matthew's point, it really just depends on your market. You may have a handyman who downtime, okay, now I'm just going to have them do inspections. But to that point, I also really want them just out doing work. So I don't want them doing it forever, but it might be a fillable until I can get to that point, because that's going to really be a door count thing now at that before I can justify hiring somebody to do inspections. And when you do get to that point, I will tell you that college students or those who are looking maybe to get into real estate or something, those kids are actually, I mean, first off, they're extremely tech savvy. They want to be in like out driving around, listening to their music and doing stuff. And they can get through an inspection pretty quickly when you lay it out just right. They're the people who, I mean, those are who I like target to hire. Like, they're great. They go through and they get those inspections. They are not dawdling. It doesn't take them an hour and a half. They're like 45 minutes or less, and they're on to the next property. That's efficiency. And then I can get that over to the handyman, because guaranteed they're finding stuff that needs to be done, which is then billable hours on revenue.
That's awesome. Yeah. Great question here by Thomas. Says, is there a target revenue per truck?
Yeah.
So I'll take, yeah, you go first.
Okay.
No, go.
So from a general handyman standpoint, roughly, we know in a given month, we want that one truck, that one general tech to bring in at least $15,000 in revenue. So that would be our target for general handyman. And obviously, and again, this depends on the location. This depends on the trade, the billable rate. HVAC techs, plumbers, probably around 17 grand or higher. And that's on a monthly basis, not a weekly basis.
Yep. Yeah. I actually agree with those numbers. I would have said up to about 22,000, 20 to 22,000. So I think you have to look at the math on this as well. And again, it's a more detailed analysis, and you have to think of operational cost, your market conditions. Matthew said it right, when summers might be busier in some markets than winters or vice versa. Your desired profit margins, that's going to be a big factor into this. So if you want 20, 30, or 40%. But if you hypothetically said, my average job is $200, that's probably really low. But let's just say it's $200 and you did 5 jobs a day and you had 22 working days in a month, you're going to take that $200, you're going to divide it by 5 and divide that by your 22. That's where you get your 22,000. But you have to look at what fixed and variable costs are associated with all of that. Like with your truck, we had insurance, gas, maintenance. We counted in depreciation. So what I would do is I would take all of those numbers and I would tie that into my hourly rate for my technician. So if my guy was 26 an hour, I tied in all of my extra costs into the truck, like all of that, including insurance, and he might end up being around 38 an hour. So that was my baseline target that I had to go off of. Then I would build in my margin to say, okay, on average, I want 32%. And then go from there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can structure that, but you really do need to know what your fixed and operational costs would be, and then what goals and targets you have for all of that.
To Deb's point, I always tell our team this is why we tell people to work 40, bill 38. And a technician may say, well, if I work 25, you're only paying me for 25, and I'm only driving to 25 hours worth of gas. But to Deb's point, there's so many fixed costs associated with this. There's also opportunity costs, lost dollars, that from 35 hours to 40 hours are way more profitable than the first 5 hours. And so that's why it's really important to us when we tell our maintenance techs, hey, your job here is to work 40 hours and bill 38 of those hours. Now, we know that we have meetings and you're going to mess something up and go back. But at the end of the day, that's how we're measuring your success.
What I love about the in-house tech piece is I can get real-time numbers within a given, like within a day. I know, hey, did we work 8 of those 8 hours? Did we bill 7.6 of those hours to the owner? And if we're not doing that, I can make an immediate change. I can literally just pull that lever and get a change. And I'm going to see the benefit of that on that P&L next month. And that's one thing that I love about this maintenance business, is to be able to just turn on a dime and make a change to get things going in the right direction.
What do you mean make a change? You're talking about getting on them and saying, hey, tomorrow you've got to work more, or you've got to work this Saturday.
Yeah, it's easy to make these changes very quickly, to have those conversations and to get them moving in the right direction. Now, obviously, if you have a technician that's just not wanting to work those hours, and that's going to be a problem. That's a culture issue. But if you have someone that like legitimately loves the culture, they want to do a good job, you can have a conversation with them and remove those obstacles and get them back on track pretty quickly. And for me personally, with my wiring, I like to see those immediate results. And I think that's one of the many reasons why I like having in-house maintenance techs.